Hey, what's up guys, Sir Emanon here, and welcome to another video. So this is going to be a continuation of our Lunalight Tearlaments journey here, as I'm going to be playing this deck in DuelingBook Rated, up against today Runick Tearlaments, which is very, very interesting for sure. If you guys missed the deck profile that I uploaded 2 days ago, I will be leaving a link to that in the description box below. But yeah, let's go and start it here without any further ado. So they're going to take the RPS win, and they're going to be choosing to go first. And also, if you guys do want to see me play this deck at locals and record some of those matches, please let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to bring those to you guys. But their opening hand going first is going to be Runick Slumber, Planet, Merly, Sheeran, and Rhoda. So pretty solid hand from them. The Runick engine, as we know, it's been popping up a lot recently in decks like Sprite, being very much a beneficiary of the level 2 extension that the engine offers. But in this deck as well, there's a lot of utility effects, just ways out Mystic Mind and such, and we're going to be seeing the combo potential in their first turn here. Meanwhile, our hand is going to contain a copy of Tsuchinoko, Nessie, Instant Fusion, Planet, and Spell Canceller. So one of the problems I mentioned in the deck profile is the lack of non-engine and just inherent ways to go second, apart from the engine, which is very strong. But you'll see one of the ways that our opponent is able to adapt their board given the circumstances. So they're going to begin with a copy of the Field Spell here. That's going to go and add them a copy of a Rhino Heart to hand. And then rather than go for Sheer, they're just going to normal summon the Rhino Heart here. So they're going to go and use that to send a copy of Havness. And then their Havness is going to activate, so that's going to go, and they were lagging a bit here, so going to fast forward. So Havness resolves, that's going to go and resolve to summon a copy of Kikalos here. And Kikalos is going to activate, grabbing them a search for a copy of Selec. Then they're going to use the Kikalos effect, and then they go for the standard mill A combo with the Merly, so both effects trigger here, getting them a lot of resources in the grave. So they hit Merly and a whole lot of spell cards here, 3 different Runick cards, and then this is obviously where I see that this is not just Danger Tier or Pure Tier, but a Runick variant, which I had not run into before. So they're going to resolve their Merly that they hit, and they're going to go for Guerrera. And they're actually going to go and use the field spell to pop their own Guerrera for the draw here. And they're going to go and draw it into a copy of Runick Tip, which definitely helped quite a bit, as this really unlocked a lot of their hand. They didn't necessarily need it because they had... they actually... I actually don't know if there was a way for them to trigger the field spell after they got the summon off for the level 2 fusion. I don't think so, actually, because this is the only other Runick cards. This card was a very, very solid draw. But they're going to go and search for Fountain straight away. And then they're going to banish the top card of my deck, which is a Merly. So now they know what deck I'm playing, or at least part of it. The important thing is that they can actually just make a Beast Dweller now, which is very problematic. So they're going to activate Fountain, and then they're going to activate the copy of Slumber, which is going to allow them to summon... I'm kind of surprised they're actually playing this card, just because we don't really see this in the in the Runick engine all too often. But here, being Extender is just fine. They're going to go and trigger the effect of the Fountain, as well as the... I have no idea how to pronounce this card. Is it Hugin? You guys can let me know in the comments how to pronounce that card. But yeah, they're going to pitch Rhoda off of that and search for another copy of Fountain. So they play multiple copies. And then they're going to go and put back 3 and draw 3, which is obviously very strong. Drawing into a monster that they can pitch off this Sheeran. They did already use the Havness and Grave, but they are going to just try and fill up their grave a bit more with the Sheeran, so that's what they're going to do. They're going to mill 3, and then they're going to overlay into a Herald of Purelight. I was kind of expecting a gigantic Sprite, to be honest, but they said that this is like an older variant, and I have no idea what their newer variant would go for in this particular spot. But in any case, they're going to go and add back the Havness, and they're going to put back the Dark Ruler, and then they're going to activate the Fountain again, because this card is not a hard one to return to get the draw effect off, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, they're going to go and activate the Freezing Curses. That's going to go and summon out a copy of Gary or Jerry. I have no idea if these are hard Gs or soft Gs, but in any case, they're going to go and trigger the Fountain off of this. So they're going to go and also get the effect of the level 3 or level 4 fusion. So that allows them to add back the Fountain from grave to hand, and they're going to go and try and use it again after they draw 3 cards here. So yeah, pretty much they're just going to keep fishing for whatever and like sculpting their hand essentially. So they draw into Destruction as well, which is the MST. And then they are going to go and overlay these because this is level 4. So that's going to make Dweller, and that is very, very problematic, of course, against our deck. Next, going to activate Fountain, activate to the Destruction to go and summon. They're going to go for another copy of Gary, and then they're going to go for... Gary doesn't sound right. I'm going to say Jerry. In any case, Fountain's going to go ahead and trigger. They're going to go and add back they're going to add back the field spell off of this one, because this is also not once or hard once per turn. And then they're going to put back 3 again and then draw 3 more. So this is getting out of hand quite a bit. Thankfully, they already used tip, so they are now out of, Runick cards to use on their turn at least. Here they're going to go for Sprite Elf, and then they're going to set a couple cards and then pass. I had to read a whole bunch of their cards. So I know that they searched Sullick, and I assumed that they didn't put a back off Herald of Purelight or anything, and they ended on Sprite Elf with Merely Engraved. So I know that's coming, and have to deal with the Abyss Dweller, which is the big problem right here. So that definitely is very bad. We are not able to push through this very much, but I'm going to try my best. I mean, they already know what I'm playing, so I'm not going to try and conceal information here. So we're going to begin with our own field spell. We're going to add Sheeran. I just want a special Sheeran because my thought process was maybe there's a world in which I can special Sheeran and then tribute summon for Spell Canceller, because that shuts off the Runick half of their deck. But the problem is that loses the Sullick, which is not ideal. It doesn't really matter what I hit. If anything, it was kind of bad because now they see this half of the engine. So maybe I should have just conceded, but I want to see how far I could get here. So I'm going to Instant Fusion here next, and then they're going to go and Sprite Elf. The reason I do this first is I obviously don't want to turn off my own Instant Fusion with Spell Canceller. So, I mean, you can make an argument that if I tribute summon Spell Canceller, go battle phase, they might be prompted to main phase, Sprite Elf, bring back, and then Sullick to try and get rid of the Merely Diffusion summon to get rid of my Spell Canceller potentially. But yeah, that is not what I indeed went for. Maybe that was the correct play though. But they're going to go ahead and trigger this Merely off of the Elf in response to my Kakalos, and then they're going to Sullick my Kakalos as well. They actually, they elfed to bring back the Merely in response to my Instant Fusion, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, they're going to now go ahead and negate my Kakalos, and they're going to go and resolve their Merely, and then they're going to hit Sheeran as well. So they have Merely and Sheeran. So getting multiple fusion summons here, getting Drostopelia, and they're also going to go for the Kaleido Heart with the Rhino Heart in their hand. And they're going to spin back my Kakalos, and I'm going to just concede right here. I could have triggered the field spell, but even though they don't have a battle phase, they're just way too far ahead. I don't have a great way to deal with... I have a great way to deal with their board right there. Because I guess I should have tried to at least enter battle phase, but they had tip to be able to search for the one that pops special summon monsters. So yeah, I wasn't getting out of that. So we're just going to pack it up, go to game 2 here. And then our opening hand going first is going to be Planet, Mothman, Merely, Perfume, and Tenki. This hand is extremely, extremely solid. Both engines are very, very easily accessible here. And then their hand is Golden Droplet, which is another one I'm kind of surprised they're playing. This one lets them draw a card and it banishes 4. Mystic Mine, Flashing Fire, which is the special summon pop one, Slumber, as well as Tip. So no tier cards in this hand. We're going to be with a copy of the Planet, and then we're going to add Sheeran. And then we're going to Sheeran to go and send Merely to go and mill 3. So we hit Snow, which is really good because now I don't have to worry about managing Curious. I can pretty much just send Spell Canceller very freely, which I was going to do anyways because now that I see that they have Runick cards, I'm going to be prioritizing Spell Canceller extremely highly. And not having revealed that in game 1 was pretty good. So yeah, we're going to go and trigger the Merely effect. I'm not too worried about getting rid of the body because I can make up for it with Lunalights later. But yeah, we're going to trigger Kakalos to add a Merely to hand. I thought about just adding Sullick and not having to worry about the mill 5 or the mill 8. Honestly, I probably should have just grabbed Rhino Heart here. I think that would have probably been a bit better. Just because it would have guaranteed another fusion summon before actually continuing. So if I were to go back and do this differently, that's what I would have done. We're going to go and Kakalos for Merely. And yeah, this is something that I am trying to be a bit better at, is managing like the tier names, because I didn't really need to go for this. Like these 3 mills were not really consequential, because like I usually do, or no, I usually do Merely too. So yeah, these 3 mills were not very consequential. I guess the Sheeran was, but I have this as well, and I would have been able to get this off of Reinhardt if I were to search Reinhardt anyways, right? So the difference would not have really mattered that much. So, oh, actually, I milled an extra card. Okay, so it's these 3 mills. Okay, in that case, the Zephyrs did matter, but I think everything else would have been fine. Like the play would have been still probably okay. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and trigger every effect that we have. So we have Yellow Martin, which triggers at the Serenade Dance. We have Sheeran, and we have the Happiness as well. So that is very, very solid for us. We are going to go for Drosophilia, and then we're going to resolve our Sheeran here. So Sheeran's going to put back to summon out Garura, and then we're going to go and add Serenade Dance. And now we are in a very solid position. We can do pretty much everything we want because we have all of our setup. And I'm going to go ahead and Tenki for Tiger. And right here, I'm not really fearing hand traps too much because, you know, Tier already doesn't really play hand traps, and like they're also adding like the Runick engine, and it looks like a fairly sizable one with multiple field spells and a lot of the other names that are not traditional. So I figured that it'd be fine to just go ahead and like freely combo off without too much worry. So I'm gonna go Tiger to bring back Collider Chick. I'm preserving my normal summon just in case I get access to one later, off like Garura draw or something. But yeah, we're going to go ahead, and I sent Black Sheep here just because I want to go for a Spray Elf play later, which I talked about, and you'll see here. And next we have Curious with these 3. So Curious is going to easily send our Spell Canceller. I wanted to do Curious Channeling too, just so I wouldn't draw a Spell Canceller, which wouldn't have been a big deal if I drew it anyways, because I have a lot of discard outlets for it. But you know, just managing the quality of our draws. So we draw another copy of Perfume, which is totally fine, just another extender at this point. And then Curious Mill 3, just get more fodder for Snow. And then we have Martin to go ahead and bounce Tiger, Tiger to go ahead and bring back Collider Chick to go ahead and send Emerald Bird. And then we can Perfume back the Emerald Bird and then pitch Serenade Dance to draw into Cosmic. This here was just in case I got interrupted and I needed to out Mystic Mind somehow. So yeah, that's why that's there. I didn't feel like keeping in Dark really going first. So we're going to go ahead and go for a Redoer. I just want to like, you know, diversify my interruptions a bit. We're going to detach Emerald Bird for the effective Redoer, which similarly to Tears triggers the Emerald Bird. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to summon back the Black Sheep off of that. And then now we're going to Zephyros, take 400 damage, summon itself by bouncing Tiger. And I'm going to overlay for Dugars just to make space. But I want to make sure that this is the last thing I do because otherwise I turn off my own Tiger. So definitely don't want to forget that. And then we're going to bring back, and then here I was just kind of thinking of what I wanted to do. And then we're just going to go for the Perfume instead. Just because I wanted to go for a Dweller to deal with the Tears. And then I also wanted to do Spray Elf. I didn't really feel like I need to go for Appaloosa or anything because I have Drosophilia, and then this will shut off the graveyard effects. Plus Snow. So yeah, we're going to go for Elf and then go for the Spell Canceller. And then I set this to Bluff Selleck. And then just pass turn. And they have 6 spells in their hand and under Spell Canceller, so they're just going to scoop here. Even though I didn't have a main phase, so I don't think the bodies I had on board were going to be enough for game, unless if I hit something off Merely specifically. But in any case, you know, it worked out here. So game 3, and my opponent surprises me by making me go first. And this was actually a pretty good call because I actually sided into, I sided into Imperm, sided into like Nibiru, which isn't like that bad. But I sided out a Spell Canceller, and I sided out some of the engine cards. But most notably, I sided out a Spell Canceller. So now I'm going to have to figure out how to build a board without that. Not only that, but you're going to see they have Havness, and they trigger it, and it actually hits them almost ideal mills. So let's go ahead and get started here. So we're going to Nessie. They're going to hit Imperm, and then we're going to go and draw into the Field Spell, which is a really, really nice draw, because now I can kind of get going with our tier plays without using a normal summon, which is great. Sheeran's going to go and pitch Merely. That's going to go in mill 3, and we hit no Tears, but that's fine. We already have Merely going anyways. But we did hit Yellow Martin, which is also pretty solid. So we're going to go and search for our Serenade Dance, as well as resolving our Merely, rather, and that's going to go for Kalos. And then Kakalos is going to activate, and here's the trigger Havness, and they hit not only Reinhardt, but also Sheeran. So yeah, this is about as good as they can hope for, because this is going to be able to go ahead and pitch the Murley, and then this sends Havness, so they have literally all 3 tier names able to be activated right here, which is not good news for us. Here, I'm going to go and search Sullick, because I do have plans for this, even though it might not be an immediate extender right now, because I imagine my Kakalos is just going to be outed, so I'm planning for the backup here. So Sheeran and Reinhardt are both going to be triggering, so they're going to discard Murley, and then they're going to go and resolve their Sheeran for Kakalos, and the Kakalos and the Reinhardt both trigger, so they're going to go and also the Murley that they pitched. So it's going to be channeling 1 Murley, channeling 2 Kakalos, channeling 3 Reinhardt. So they're going to resolve, sending Havness, resolving Kakalos for a Sheeran, and then resolving their Murley for a copy of the yugioh. And then here they're going to Havness, so they're going to Havness to put itself back, as well as the Sheeran that they just added, as well as the Reinhardt on board. And then they're going to go for Kaleidoheart, and then they're going to spin back the Kakalos. Now, thankfully, because they did that, they actually triggered my field spell. So I'm going to go ahead and use this to take care of this yugioh right there. And they're going to change yugioh here in response, putting the counter on Sheeran. Here I wasn't entirely sure if the Sheeran is still treated as level 1. I know that I actually talked about this in chat, because I know that if the yugioh leaves the board, their activated effects of monsters with predator counters on them are no longer negated, because it's part of this effect. But I don't know if the level manipulation is part of just placing the counter on it. So I was not 100% sure. For the sake of not having to call a judge at very late at night on Dueling Book, I decided to just go with it. Because I can see either way. But if you guys know, let me know in the comments below if anyone knows that ruling for certain. But it's not going to affect my play too much here. It definitely could, because being level 4 is relevant for sure. But yeah, I just thought I'd throw that one out there. So here I do not have Emerald Bird in my deck, which is unfortunate, because that would have got me a lot of value to try and keep digging for extension. But it's okay, because we still have everything we need, essentially. So we're going to go for Perfume, pitching Serenade Dance to add Tiger. And then here we're going to go Serenade Dance, and this does ascend for effect, not for cost. So we are able to send Sullick and then trigger the Sullick afterwards. Here's where I would send Emerald Bird, so we can go like, Sullick 1, Emerald Bird 2, which would be pretty nice. But not a huge deal. We have a normal summon, so we can go grab Reinhardt off of this. And then I'm going to go ahead and now go for the Reinhardt, sending Havness, because I only used Murley so far. And then Havness is going to go and summon out Kakalos. I was debating on a couple of things. I was debating on using everything to go into Reinhardt, Kaleidoheart to go and spin back their Kaleidoheart. But I was trying to go for a Curious play afterwards, and I actually didn't have the types necessary for it. And this is a case where like Zephyrus, Force Strix, the Search Zephyrus would come up, because then I could easily just go for like Lunalight plays afterwards. Like I can go, Chicks and Martin, Tiger bring back, and then overlay for Zephyr, or for Force Strix. I don't know, I keep saying Zephyrus. The Search Zephyrus, there we go. And then we're gonna Perfume to like pitch it and then keep going from there. But in this case, I wanted to just make sure I maintained the Aqua body on the board, so that I can go for Link plays, because that's realistically the only way I can get to Curious at that point. Because I do not have the Force Strix in my extra deck at this in this list. So I do go for the Dark Charmer, and I'm going to bring back the yugioh. And then I spend quite a while here thinking about if I should keep the yugioh or just link it away for Curious. I think in hindsight, also the Sheeran should not be in this zone, because it summons first and then it sends itself. So yeah, this should not be in this zone. But yeah, I just wanted to see what I would mill off Kakalos before I made the decision. So let's see what we mill here. We're going to mill 5. And we don't really hit anything. We only hit a Murley that I already used. And did I mill 4 or 5? I think I just milled 4. Oh, there we go. There's the 5th one. There's some lag there. Okay. Yeah, so nothing super useful there. Here I'm going to Martin. And the predicament I'm in is also that I want to have an interruption via fusion summon on their turn, because I don't have like spell canceler in my deck, so I want to make sure I just have as much interruption as possible. What I probably could have just done was not even bother with Curious, and then just go for like a rescale of Tiger, and then go for like Redoer Dweller right here, which is the line I considered. The thing is I want to make sure I got Snow Engrave as well to kind of help mitigate Dark Ruler. So yeah, here I perfumed kind of needlessly, just trying to figure out my best line to play into deck them before I went to Curious, because I do ultimately decide to go into Curious. Is there a better play I could have done? I don't have, yeah, this is the issue with not playing the Force Tricks and why I would definitely consider playing it. Because Sheeran being linked away with is very risky. Or not risky, but it doesn't lead to the end board that I want. So yeah, I do end up leaking away the Dragostapelia. I think that's actually okay. But yeah, it's not a line that I was super thrilled with. So anything that, or any suggestion that you guys would have to maybe improve my line of play would be appreciated, because there's a lot of options I had here. But yeah, we're going to go and Curious here. We're going to send Snow. And then I'm going to go ahead and mill 3. And I got lucky and hit the Zephyrs. Because see, now my problem is that I actually didn't have enough level 4 bodies to go for the play anyways. And I kind of realized that. I was like, oh, if not for actually just hitting the Zephyrs, I would have to rely on Snow, which isn't a bad thing to get the last level 4. But it's not like the greatest, because that's a lot of the resources in my grave that I would want for the Snow, like as an interruption. Like snowing twice here is not the greatest. But we, never punished, I suppose. We have Zephyrs now. And we're going to go for Appaloosa, because now I have like an extra level 4, which is like really good. And then we're going to go for a Dweller and a Redoer. So I think this board maybe could have been better. It's not the greatest, but assuming this Dark Ruler is not here, it is a lot. Like this deals with the tier engine. This deals with like any errant normal summons. And then this can kind of handle whatever is being thrown at me. And I also want to make sure I didn't clear the Kaleido Heart like at the end of it. Remember how I said earlier that I was considering making my own Kaleido Heart to spin back theirs? The reason I ultimately ended up against that is I want to make sure that I played around Mystic Mine, because I felt like this deck is one that can definitely play Mine. So like they would have to, like they wouldn't be able to crash into anything. So like if they played Mine, I could chain Snow and banish my whole field if I need to, just like so we have one monster apiece, which obviously is like not the greatest, but it is something. So here I'm going to go ahead and Dweller and draw phase, and then standby phase use the Redoer. And then we get Dark Rulered. And I kind of took a gamble here, because I feel like if I use Redoer right now, I kind of force myself into like activating Sheeran and doing everything, which is not bad, since I can just make my own Dragostapelia off of this. And then I can like use the field spell, but then that leaves me very, again, susceptible to Mine if I do that. And also like I don't want to pop their Kaleido Heart, right? So like there's not really any reason for me to use Redoer preemptively. I just kind of accepted that I would take the L if I got Dark Rulered, but as long as I'm not dying, I have plenty of follow-up here, so I'm not too worried about getting Dark Rulered, provided that I still have some form of interruption, which in this case I have Dweller Snow. And I have like a decent level of follow-up. So yeah, afterwards they're going to terraforming, and I'm expecting Mine, but they actually just go for Fountain instead. So that's cool with me. They decide not to go for tier plays because they're under Dweller, so they're just going to go for Runick Fountain. And then they're going to switch their Kaleido Heart to attack position, and then they're going to go for Dispelling to summon from the extra deck. And here I make a very, very big mistake. For some reason, I just totally forgot that they were under Dweller, even though I literally just did it. So I respond to the Runick Fangs here, and I use Snow to go ahead and banish, to go ahead and set the Kaleido Heart, while also using the Kaleido Chick in battle phase effect. So it locks them out of effects, which is one way to deal with this, but I mean, literally they were under Dweller, so that was just a brain fart on my end. And they actually do decide to redeclare anyhow, which, if they decided not to, they could have easily just reflipped up their own Kaleido Heart, like made Dark Charmer, and then they could have gone for some other plays. I mean, granted, against Dweller it would have been a little tough, but they could have taken my Kikalos, which would have been really, really bad. And also, like, this is something I need to work on for certain, is that you're actually not supposed to have this in grave if you're playing the tier mirror because of Dark specifically. So you're always supposed to be shuffling it back. But yeah, I didn't have like too many avenues of fusion summoning, apart from maybe if I like used Redo on my own turn to do that. But I didn't think like ending on Dragos Depelia was better necessarily. Like maybe it was worth it. Lots of different lines. This deck is very complex. So again, any feedback would be appreciated, of course. They flip a Kaleido Heart and then they go for Destruction to go and pop my Tiger. And then they banish 4. They're going to trigger the Fountain. I have a Tiger triggering as well to bring back Kaleido Chick. And then they're just going to draw 3 here. So I'm just hoping it's not too many, or draw 2 rather. They only had 2 engraved. So they draw into Freezing Curses, which is the Imperm, and they have evenly matched. So yeah, here we're just kind of talking about Dweller and how I literally just made the biggest mistake of the match, but it's okay because they weren't able to OTK me, and that's the more important thing. And this Tiger is actually not gone because I did a Black Sheep in my opening hand the entire time. And if I didn't, I could have used my second Perfume to get to it. But yeah, now that my board is kind of back online, apart from Appaloosa, I can go for Redoer again, getting multiple spells. And here is kind of another misplay that I want to go over because I kind of thought about it after the match a bit. So I use Redoer, and then I'm going to go for Sheeran after drawing into Merrily with the Redoer. Pretty good draw. And then we're going to go Recycle Kakalos, and then we're going to go for Kaleido Heart play. I go for Kaleido Heart, Chainlink 1 on their Kaleido Heart, which I think is okay. But I use a Field Spell to target a random back row, and that was a mistake because I should have just popped the Fountain. My read here was that because they set 2, they wouldn't be runic spells. Like maybe they'd just be additional copies of Dark Ruler or like evenly matched stuff along those lines. And or maybe like a duplicate copy, or no, sorry, yeah, something like that. And it's because Fountain allows them to, of course, activate their quick plays from their hand during my turn. So I didn't think that either of these were runic cards that can kind of punish me and then get them back, drawing cards off Fountain and then drawing some more runic cards that they can use to stop me. So I don't think that was necessarily a reasonable assumption because they flip up Freezing Curses on me. So like realistically, I probably should have just popped the Fountain, and then like any other back row was probably not going to be alive at that point if it was, because like even if that assumption was true, like I would want to pop the Fountain anyways because that would force out the runic spells either way, right? Because like just going after random back row, like sure it might force something, but like it's not that guaranteed. Whereas, you know, if I just popped Fountain, it would have been a lot better for me because in the event that like one of these was a runic spell, which it was, then it prevents them from drawing into anything impactful in the first place to punish me. So yeah, just thought I would mention that real fast. But yeah, I think I go ahead, negate my Kaleido Heart, banish 3, and now they get to go and draw 3 because 2 of the spells are under Redoer, so they actually get to draw 3 right here. And they drew draw into Flashing Fire, which is an interruption. Here I go ahead and use Kaleido Chick to send Tiger from the extra deck to the grave. And then here's the interaction. We just, you know, Black Sheep add it back. So as long as this isn't getting banished, you're pretty safe. And if you have Emerald Bird in your deck, then even if it does get banished, you can still get this back by using Emerald to special summon this, and then you just Smart and bounce it. But yeah, here, pretty easy recovery. Go for a copy of Unicorn, and then I'm going to Unicorn spin back the Kaleido Heart, and I'm going to normal summon Rhino Heart just to make sure that I guarantee enough damage. And then we're going to go into a Mud Dragon. I like misclicked the material, and I didn't want to like bother going back because I meant to make a Rura here. But yeah, here, if they Flashing Fire any of these, it still is this game just because I have 56 since they crashed last turn. So that is going to be it. So they do concede right here. So that is going to be a pretty solid match. We lost a die roll, but we ended up winning still, which is very fortunate. They actually made us go first, game 3, which it was good in the fact that they didn't have to actually deal with Spell Canceller and they can keep in their board breakers, which I definitely was not expecting. I did not side appropriately for that. But this deck still is really strong going first, even without, you know, the OP Floodgate. And even if you do get Dark Rulered, I think it's okay if you get Dark Rulered, because if you're not losing that turn, then you can very easily rebuild and reestablish with especially the Lunalight cards, because they definitely help a lot. Like if Tiger gets to like remain in rotation, like even though it was dealt with there, like I got back to it, and if that happens, then it's really, really solid. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Pretty long one, but I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. Again, let me know if you want to see more videos on this deck. I'm probably honestly going to be only playing this deck for a while, just because I love Lunalights and I really like the tier cards. I like the way they interplay with each other. So that's gonna be it. So thanks guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, I'll catch you in the next video. See you guys.